So hello everyone, my name is Syed Masoom, and in this presentation I'm going to be covering basics of Salesforce business analysis. We will go through various topics related to Salesforce business analyst. Namely, if we want to look at the agenda, we will be discussing the what the Salesforce business analyst role is and the skill requirement for the role. Uh, we will also explore the responsibilities of the Salesforce business analyst, and we will understand some of the misconceptions about Salesforce business analyst and try to clear them with my understanding and explanation. Right, so let's dive right into it. So first of all, now what is a Salesforce business analyst? You must have heard this term popping up a lot um, nowadays. Um, Salesforce is a CRM. Um, it is also an ERP solution. So it's a combination of both ERP as well as CRM. Because of the adoption rate and because of the industries and the capabilities of the software, the growth and um, the features which are um, increasing as we speak. So every day Salesforce is adding new features to the platform, uh, acquiring new companies and starting to provide offer solutions to different industries, um, which is which covers all sorts of organizations. So small, medium size, as well as large worldwide enterprise companies. So all these companies, when they start adopting this solution for their needs, um, also, that obviously creates the need for all the different roles surrounding or having that knowledge of Salesforce. And Salesforce Business Analyst was created uh, by this evolving need in the Salesforce ecosystem. Um, so let's look into basically what a Salesforce Business Analyst is. A Salesforce Business Analyst is a project-based business improvement role. Business analysts help guide businesses to improve business processes and efficiency in Salesforce. They help elicit, document, and analyze requirements around business challenges and then produce data-driven solutions. Now, if we want to understand this by the way of an analogy, then think of the Salesforce business analyst like an interpreter. So they are the go-to person when it comes to communication between IT and the business stakeholders to ensure all involved work together to attain the best results. Um, right. So that's the basically what the definition of Salesforce BA is. And let's now look into what skills a Salesforce BA need in order to be successful. So these are the skills required. Um, um, First and foremost, every BA should possess some sort of soft skills. Um, um, Experienced BAs and more seasoned BAs will also be more technical. However, when you are considering this as a career, then these are the skills you should look into acquiring. There is a dedicated resource available for BAs to start studying about what soft skills are most important. I have tried to list some of these here. These are also some of what Salesforce recommends for their BAs. So needs analysis, eliciting requirements, business case definition. Now, I won't be going too deep into each of the soft skill. You can do a quick Google search and find out more about as a BA what sort of need analysis techniques or eliciting requirements techniques you should be studying for and you should possess. Then now these are also explained in depth on IIBA's website. So if you do a Google search for International Institute for Business Analysis, then you would find their website. That's where you would go to understand what the soft skill requirements are for a successful BA. They also run a certification program for general BA. So if you acquire the skills, IIBA skills, then you would be more sort of a general BA. So you would not have a specific domain or industry specialization. But that's the best place to start your career as a BA. And then Salesforce is nothing but specialization. So you would introduce Salesforce to your career when you have worked in an organization and on customizing or implementing Salesforce for at least 1 to 2 years. That's what I recommend as a minimum duration you should have spent on Salesforce, which will then give you these most important Salesforce skills a BA should possess, namely App Exchange. You would only understand this if you have actually implemented an app from the Exchange. So it's not just we cannot think of App Exchange as Windows Store or Apple Store where you just buy apps and download and install it in your phone or laptop. Salesforce App Exchange is very specialized area, I believe, because there are solutions available for pretty much any business challenge we can think of today, which can be resolved with the help of these additional tools available in App Exchange. So you have to learn this by either following the trailhead where they would make you do some exercises whereby you download the app from App Exchange and install it in Salesforce. But every app in Exchange comes with different requirements for implementation, and you have to be mindful of that. So having a little bit of exposure to this would then give you you will then have that background that App Exchange is not just about clicking and clicking through and finishing off all with clicks. You have to be mindful of the changes it introduces to the platform and your platform itself. When I say platform, I'm referring to Salesforce platform. It might require some readiness, so you have to make some changes in order to accommodate prior to introducing any new app to the platform. And then there are automation tools. These are not your externally available automation tools. There are internal automation tools in Salesforce which are complex. However, if you do it once or twice. I mean, if you automate a process using Process Builder, for example, then you would have the sort of that, good understanding of how each of the automation tools in Salesforce works, and what are the considerations you need to make when you are looking to automate a process for your company or organization, and sort of sort of like when you're looking to automate the process, and what is it that it is going to affect um, system wise, then how will it affect the people who will be performing, who will be actors of the process, and how the end result will change. For example, previously, if you were the process produced paper prints, Salesforce might only allow you to print a PDF depending on the solution you adopt. Of course, there will be options to print paper from Salesforce, but I just gave an example that the output of a process might change slightly, so you have to consider all this before you automate that process. So this is, if you work on this kind of projects, then you would know the automation cycle in Salesforce end to end, which means you will then be ready to quickly roll out automated processes, and understanding, implementing, and training people on these new processes is crucial. As we progress in this series, you will understand more. I am creating this series taking a little bit of help from Trailhead, as well as from my own experience of running a project. So we are starting at the very basics, and then I will go more deeper into how we implement or utilize some of these skills you can see here on the screen. So right, let's move on to the next slide. This is an excerpt from Trailhead, Salesforce Trailhead website. It gives you a little bit more insight into what the recruiters look for when you apply for a Salesforce BA job. So as you can see, these are all generic skills all BAs should possess anyway. Communication, project management, organization, writing skills. Now you will be creating a lot of documentation. Yes, there will be standard documentation and training available from Salesforce, but that's very rarely used, if at all not used, because in my experience working for a couple of different companies, I haven't seen them using Salesforce's help documentation a lot. They would rather have us, Salesforce BAs, create our own training documentation. And then BAs need to be detail oriented, problem solving. Of course, yes, that's what BA role stands for, isn't it? So we, as a BA, we will be looking into the challenges of an organization, and looking to of the and also the business goals, and we will be looking to list out the problems in achieving those goals and try to solve them with the help of technology. And then yes, technical skills are specialized skills are also important. The industry, the companies recruiting for this role will be looking for at least intermediate level of Salesforce platform knowledge. In my opinion, it is slightly underestimated than what it should have been. I think general BA skills are important. However, when you are going to be a Salesforce BA, then Salesforce platform and knowledge also is equally important, because if you understand the mechanics and the capabilities, the features of Salesforce well, then you will be achieving that time to solution will be very narrow. So you will quickly be able to find a suitable solution in Salesforce for any business challenge or business change you're implementing. Data analysis, of course, and that's not less important than other skills. However, data analysis is necessary when you are in a type of a role where in a company where there aren't separate people doing this. Usually in large organizations, you will have separate people doing business analysis and separate people doing data analysis, because data analysis is not uh, cannot be a task or an activity of a BA. It is a separate stream. Many businesses are now adopting this approach and employing a separate data analytics person to take care of this. And data management, scripting language, SQL and Python, yes, they are important, but not very important. I hardly have ever done any Python scripting. However, in order to understand an Apex program, when the processes are highly automated, they also use some of the Apex code. Then it is helpful to have that knowledge and see as to how the data queries are running behind the scenes. So you can then not rely on technical stuff as much for some of the basic stuff, like if data uh, is not being correctly displayed in a report, in a custom report, for example, you could quickly scan the code of that custom report. If there's an Apex code running behind it, then to pull some of the data from joined tables, or maybe from a different sort of two different companies in Salesforce which are joining hands, acquired by the other, and for the time being before the acquisition and integration completes, you are using a temporary solution to fetch data from both organizations. For example, total sales of two different companies on two different Salesforce instances, right? With the right permissions, it is possible. But yeah, let's not go too much deep into it. Just as an example, why scripting languages could be helpful is that you can then understand the behind the scenes operations of a custom code. Wonderful. So these are some of the key activities a Salesforce BA would perform. Communication, of course, it needs to be clear and concise. Open communication, and also presenting and listening skills, very, very important. Then requirement elicitation, requirement documentation. You will document the requirements, making them easy to understand for any type of stakeholder. They should be easy to understand, clear and concise, thoughtful and easy to share. So by easy to share, I mean they should be in a format which is easily shareable with other people. For example, PDF, not using any specialized tool, so that then it becomes difficult. You have to undermine a lot of security policies of the company in order to share that information, or people would need access to the tool, which is not always possible for the IT to facilitate. In those cases, then it makes sense to use a more sort of generic collaboration tool which is available. As an example, Confluence. So if you store your documentation on Confluence, every employee pretty much will have access to this common the document repository. So this so other than that, you will analyze everything that you have gathered. So you gather requirements from different stakeholders, you analyze them, then you convert these requirements into your guide for facilitating solutions. So your analysis will tell you from your if you have had uh, good exposure to Salesforce, then you already would know once uh, produce your initial um, sort of deliverables, uh, whatever it could be a process map. For example, you're looking to automate a process, so you will obviously start by creating an as is process map, and then once you look at the process map, you would already be building that solution from your exposure to Salesforce and knowledge. You will already know as to what automation tool in Salesforce you are going to be using to automate this process, and you obviously you have arrived at you will identify these options, arrive at a solution, possibly by discussing with the stakeholders, and then you would embark on the implementation. Implementation is a very key milestone in any Salesforce project, and because that's where your project could you know really face a scope creep, or it could make your and your stakeholders' life easier or difficult. So your choice of solution should be such that it involves less and less customization to the platform and using more and more available features and tools in Salesforce, which is the safest way of implementing any of the Salesforce projects. End of the cycle, then you would perform testing. Testing, obviously, if you're automating a process, for example, then you would test the process is working end to end, desired with uh, you know required input, and it's producing desired output. So that's what you have to test the new implementation for. And also you would trace the process, trace the implementation back to the requirements, present it to the stakeholders, deliver training where necessary, create documentation. I always try and keep one retrospective in the end of any delivery. So we meet for a quick feedback session, and we try to use these learnings from one implementation into the next one. Moving on. Some of the common misconceptions today about Salesforce BA, since it is not as new but a very new sort of career option, that Salesforce business analyst need to be super technical. Yes, Salesforce knowledge is important, but yeah, do not let that stop you from becoming a Salesforce BA. With the generic IIBA BA skills, you can start learning about the Salesforce platform. And if your company is offering you to work on Salesforce, any of the Salesforce projects as a BA, then I would immediately grab that opportunity, and that's what will give you more exposure to Salesforce platform. Second misconception we have is Salesforce BAs should not do configuration on the platform. um, this also is a misconception which should be uh, you know avoided. When you are aspiring to become a Salesforce BA, you depending on the knowledge and exposure you have had to Salesforce, yes, you can. There could be some of the changes business requires, which you can handle yourself. For example, there sometimes would be a requirement to add an extra option to a pick list on sales related opportunities. Then that's so if you have appropriate access, your profile allows for this customization, then you can go ahead and add an additional option to this pick list. So likewise, you do not have to always involve Salesforce developers for any change business requires. Then third misconception we have is Salesforce business analysts are only needed after a project kicks off. Now BAs in general are involved right from the where the project right from the stage when the project did not even exist. So business was trying to discuss, trying to think of a possible change right from even before it came down to being a Salesforce driven project. Uh, that's when BAs are involved in the discussions to see if it is something we can achieve with the help of Salesforce. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, there you go. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation. I welcome your suggestions and feedback to this. I hope that this presentation has been helpful. I will try to upload more content about Salesforce BAs. If you're looking to start your career in Salesforce BA, then look no further. I wish you all the best and see you in the next one. Bye.